Did you well? It was pretty short, but I know we had that confusion on the ed puzzle. I apologize. I was just trying to streamline, but it ended up not working. The focus of week 2 is the social studies standards and the social studies framework. And because not all of us have the same knowledge coming in about standards, there's a video lecture that is specifically about the standards and when they started and all these different things that you need to watch before you do the actual assignment. And then, all right, so let's look at that first assignment. The purpose of this video is to help you understand the timeline of standards in California and compare the social studies content standards with the social studies framework, if that doesn't make sense. That's the purpose of the video. So let's take a look. All right, so here we are in our Brightspace for this course. Here we are in week 2, and this is the ed puzzle on the standards. You're going to click here. Try to log in to your account so that you're using the same login information every time if possible. And this is a video where I'm going to explain the standards, the different types of social studies standards. And it really is something you want to watch before you try assignment number 3. I will also go over assignment number 3 in that video as well. So assignment number 3, I think, is probably the most challenging of the assignments in this course. And it's the thing you're least familiar about. And that's because when you're a student in a classroom, you're not thinking about the standards. You're not thinking about why are your teachers teaching what they're teaching. And so it's different than a lesson, right? Because you experience school as a student. And so that can be a little hard for some students. Please know that I always give students the opportunity to redo an assignment. So for some reason you're missing a component, or you just didn't quite understand the directions or just a little off, I will always give you feedback and give you the opportunity to redo an assignment. Okay, so this is the assignment, and again, I'm going to also explain it in the standards video. It has 3 parts. The first is to find a lesson or create a lesson. You can Google that. You can Google like 3rd grade social studies lesson California. Okay, please don't pay for a lesson. That's not what we're looking for, but there should be some free lessons. So you're going to find a lesson that's free that you don't have to pay for, or you're going to create one. Again, depending on what your experience is coming into this class. The exploratory is how do you introduce the topic. The lesson is what do you and the students do, and then the expansion is what do they do with that information. Okay, so just real basic here. And you need this for the next part. So then once you've found or created a lesson, you're going to tell me what are the California state standards, and then what is the California framework. And again, this will make sense after watch the other video. And then you're going to tell me what are the California Common Core standards, ELA, in the content area. So in English Language Arts, there are standards specifically for how we teach English Language Arts in social studies. So that's step 1 and 2. These go together. Step 3 is kind of separate. You're going to pick 3 California standards, okay? And that's from this first link. And then you're going to pick the California framework that matches. And again, I'm going to explain this in the other video. And you're going to analyze them. So there's an example here. Here's the California state standard. And then this is an opinion, this column. Okay. Was this standard culturally responsive and appropriate, do you think? Your opinion. Then this is the California framework standard that matches this California state standard. Okay. Then you're right, how did it change? So what changed between this first column and column 3? Then again, your opinion. So do you think this change is appropriate? Are there additional changes? So you're going to do this process 3 times, which is why there are 3 empty rows. Okay. So again, 3 parts to this assignment. Make sure you watch the standards lesson first. And then again, if it's incomplete or something's missing or it doesn't quite make sense, I will give. The final assignment is just the reading and discussion board. really pay attention to the assigned pages. You are not reading all of chapter 2 and chapter 3 and chapter 4. That would be too much. All right, so in the week 2 checklist, you can get to the discussion board, or you can get to the discussion board through discussions. But when you go there, you're going to see it's a specific assigned pages. And if you got an old copy or an older version of the book, look for these titles. Okay, so it's only 3 pages from chapter 2. Okay, 5 pages, and then another 5 pages from chapter 3. And then it is a longer section of chapter 4. So you're going to read all of these pages underneath these titles. And then these are the questions you should discuss in your post and then comment on. I also wanted to take a moment to talk about expectations. And I'd like to compare an in-person class with an asynchronous online class. I used to teach in person at the University of Laverne on the main campus, and we would meet from 6:50 to 9 or 9:30 once a week. So when you're in an in-person class, you have around 3 hours in a classroom with your classmates and your teacher. Then in addition to that, there's 1 to 3 hours of outside of class work. That could be textbook readings, assignments, lesson plan creation, which means that the total time for a class in an in-person class is 4 to 6 hours a week. An asynchronous class should be similar in the amount of time on task. It's going to be different in what you're doing and who you're with, but the amount of time should be similar. So in an asynchronous online class, you have video lectures or lessons or directions like I'm doing now. You've got your readings and your discussion boards, and then you have your class assignments and your lesson plan creation. They're getting the same number of credits. Now, I know, and you probably know, that it is not that much time online if you are using your time wisely, right? But they are the same number of credits. And so students who are spending 1 hour a week on their class are not going to have end of term grades. So on the grades, if you get a 0, that means I didn't see it. I just didn't see it for whatever reason. It didn't attach in Brightspace. It just didn't get it. I would never give you a 0 for an assignment turned in. If there's a 1, it means you shared it with me, but I can't open it, and there'll usually be a comment. If you think there's an error, send me a message on email, not on Slack. And then I make mistakes. I'm not a robot. You're not a robot. We always make mistakes, but we can always fix errors. So if you think that there's a mistake or an error, please send me an email right away, and I will try to correct that. If you have some sort of emergency or unexpected event, a catastrophe, your computer breaks, or your toddler drops it in the pool. You have a family issue, someone's in the emergency room, someone's really sick, you get sick, your kids get sick, everybody's sick, your dog breaks their leg, whatever. Please reach out to me. I want to help you be successful and not to fall behind in the 8 weeks, but if I don't hear from you, I can't help you. If you have any question on assignment, reach out. And like I said before, I will always give you the opportunity to redo an assignment if you're unhappy with your grade. I'm going to do my best to make sure that your grades are your authentic work, but any indication that you are copying from the internet or from someone else or using AI could jeopardize your grade, because that is in violation of the academic honesty of the University of Laverne. All right. Well, hope you have a great week for week 2. It looks like it's going to rain this week, and let me know if you need anything. I'll grade those